Bill Mantlo: The immensely interesting story of Bill Mantlo's comics career and the one day that took it all away. Born November 9, 1951, William Timothy Mantlo became interested in comics work during junior high, tracing Marvel Comics and slowly developing his own style. In school, he created his own comic heroes like Bulk and the Revengers, writing and drawing issues that featured his bullies as the villains, in a comic brand that he called Congo Comics. It took an art teacher to encourage him to take a test to get into an art high school where he could further his interest in art and drawing. To quote Bill, "It could have all ended there. I could have gone on to Andrew Jackson High School a few blocks away and into wallpaper design, except that there was one art school teacher who ignored her better judgment and insisted I take the test for New York High School of Art and Design in Manhattan. I was determined not to go to Andrew Jackson, so I packed my ludicrous portfolio of tracings and Congo comics, got on the subway, and went to A&D. Miraculously, I passed the test, and I spent the next 4 years ignoring my teachers who declared that comics were crap and continued drawing them." After abandoning drawing for photography, Mantlo hadn't thought about Marvel Comics in a long time until a college friend, Annette Kowecki, a letterer at Marvel, asked if he wanted to do some work there. The job was menial, but it allowed him to branch out into coloring as well. He got a chance when Tony Isabella was in need of a writer to reach a deadline, and Bill found himself volunteering for the job. He got it done in one night. When Marv Wolfman became editor-in-chief at Marvel in 1975, he further established these fill-in comics into the unofficial Marvel fill-in comics, and Bill Mantlo became the head writer for the series who, like Jack Kirby, had become known for his ability to work fast and reach his own deadlines. From that time on, he was dubbed the fill-in king due to how fast he could write a script and that he was dependable. By the mid-70s, he was easily scripting up to 5 comics a month, writing across over 60 titles in almost every genre. Wolfman is cited to recall that they would have actual deadlines and be produced like every other book, only it would never be published as a series. Every month, John Verporten, the head of production, and I would get together and discuss which books were on the verge of being late. Let's say one month it was Captain America, Iron Man, Avengers, and the Hulk. I would have Bill Mantlo write a team-up between those characters so it could be slotted into any of the 4 places. Bill Mantlo ended up creating team-ups and crossovers for issues that would often never see the light of day. But there were more than enough that showed up in stores to build Mantlo's reputation as a writer who could come up with interesting and engaging stories, something that Mantlo had been looking for in comics before he became a writer for them. To quote, "I'd watch artists and writers wandering in, arguing, talking about their work. I'd given up all desire to draw comics, and I found out most, not all, of the writing at this time, about 1972, to be really childish, especially the then black and white horror and kung fu books. I also noticed that all the writers had incredible difficulty meeting their deadlines. I couldn't see why. The work didn't look that difficult, especially given some of the stories they were producing." In 1979, Bill Mantlo was inspired by the toys his son were given for Christmas and convinced the new editor-in-chief, Jim Shooter, to obtain licenses to create comics for the toy lines of both Micronauts and ROM Space Knight. Mantlo worked with numerous artists on Micronauts, and with ROM he worked with Sal Buscema exclusively. Mantlo's other writing credits across the decade following include Frankenstein's Monster, The Invincible Iron Man, Howard the Duck, The Incredible Hulk, Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man, Rocket Raccoon, Cloak and Dagger, and countless others. Throughout his career at Marvel, he created over 55 different characters. As time went on, he became restless with Marvel management, specifically Jim Shooter, who was editor-in-chief during this time. In 1989, he told Dave Kelly of Amazing Heroes magazine about some of the struggles he went through, including what caused him to lose his writing position for the Alpha Flight series. Mantlo went on to describe 2 more times where he complained about not feeling compatible with an artist he was assigned and wanting a new one. Marvel's response to which was to remove him from the title and to not only bring in a new writer but give that writer a new artist as well. Mantlo said that his relationship with Jim Shooter had been soured since he tried to organize the writers into a union to stop management from further manipulating writers like him, Chris Claremont, Walt Simonson, and Frank Miller, just to name a few. On Friday, July 17, 1992, Bill Mantlo was rollerblading home after leaving work early. For much of his skating hobby, Mantlo wore all the padding and guards necessary for safety, including a helmet. Bill's brother Mike told One Blade magazine that his brother became confident enough after a time that he didn't need it. Quote, "I don't need to use the helmet in the daytime. The drivers can see me and I can see them." Only 4 blocks from home, Bill was skating down the street when a car turned a corner and hit him head-on. Bill was launched over the car. I will spare the details. In classic hit-and-run style, the car never stopped and has never been identified. Bill was comatose for 2 weeks before coming back to consciousness. Left with severe brain damage, he has required constant care and assistance for almost 30 years, his main caregiver being his brother Michael Mantlo. Mike has had him at a nursing facility in New York for many years, wanting to be able to move Bill to his property so he was closer to family. It was a struggle due to finances being constrained and the cost of medical care piles up fast, even with the help of Medicaid. In April of 2019, Mike put out a GoFundMe campaign to help raise money to continue taking care of his brother. From the campaign description, quote, "Being retired and living on a fixed income, this ordeal has become a financial nightmare. I have nearly bankrupted myself in my attempts to build a home for my brother and arranging for his necessary care." The fundraising campaign raised $65,486 of the requested $100,000 that Mike projected would be necessary to cover the debt he found himself accumulating. Mike also made sure that when Marvel was buying rights from creators for the use of their characters in the forthcoming MCU films, that his brother was not given a lowball number for characters like Rocket Raccoon, who would draw in millions of dollars to Disney and Marvel. Mantlo's lawyer, Lawrence Klein, said of the negotiations, "There were people at Marvel who wanted to do the right thing, but they needed someone like me on the other side to push their higher-ups to do the right thing." Bill Mantlo received a generous sum for the rights for Rocket Raccoon in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. Marvel, with the help of James Gunn, fans, and of course his brother Mike, gave Bill an advanced screening of Guardians in his room since he was unable to go to a theater himself. The film raked in approximately $770 million. Bill is thanked in the credits. However, the royalties allowed Mike the opportunity to buy a mobile home for his property in Delaware, and in 2017 was in talks with New York courts to get the permission to move Bill out of the nursing home by the end of that year. Mike wrote an editorial for The Hollywood Reporter in 2017 talking about how much these movies and the fans have changed Bill's life for the better and how grateful he is. Quote, "I have been Bill's guardian for the past 25 years, and the outpouring of love, the praise he's received, and the accolades he's earned from fans and industry professionals alike is absolutely astounding. We have received cards and letters from all around the world, and Bill has an enormous fan base that continues to grow to this day. There is nothing that makes him prouder or happier than when someone writes and tells him how he, Bill Mantlo, changed their life in some magical, positive way." Mike's editorial ends with this, quote, "I don't like to ask people for help, but at the same time, I would never refuse anything that could benefit Bill. So, if you are interested in pitching in and helping to ensure a bright future for someone who devoted his life to always fighting the good fight, simply visit BillMantlo.com or the Bill Mantlo Support Fund Facebook page and you'll find ample opportunities to assist. And if you just want to send along best wishes or something to cheer Bill up, you can write to him. Yes, you too can be Bill's superhero. Last year, it was reported that Michael Mantlo, loving brother, husband, and father, passed away. The cause of death is unknown. Bill is still with us, as much as he can be. Both Mike and Bill Mantlo have proven that all it takes is one gesture, one small, well-meaning thing to make anyone's day change for the better. We owe both of them more than we could give.